I am curious because that is how I am with my girlfriend of a month now. I have been wanting a girlfriend for a while for all the obvious reasons. I went on a few dates that just did not work out and never got a second date with any girl. Fast forward to my first date with my girlfriend. I had never hit it off with a girl on a first date this much. It was just so easy. We like the same music, have the same sense of humor, and enjoy the same foods. It just seems like everything. I have been over to her place many times this month and stayed the night multiple times. And the best part is, she has been only 8 minutes away from me for my whole life, and I had no clue. I was just curious if anyone else had a similar story. Story 1. That's great. The only thing I miss about dating is that feeling of finding the right person. But I definitely know what you mean. My wife and I joke that we wish we could have been friends growing up so we could have shared everything. Haha. Story 2. Coming up on 2 years with my girlfriend. We met in Washington State after I got stationed up there. Completely by chance, I happened to walk into the store she worked at and immediately clicked. Our first date felt like catching up with an old friend, and we've been best friends ever since. Every day we spend together is an adventure. We found out not long after we started dating that we grew up half an hour away from each other on the other side of the United States. Story 3. I felt the same way when I met my late wife. Unfortunately, my soulmate passed away in August, and now I am just kind of waiting till I get the chance to see her again and continue where we left off. If you feel this way about someone, cherish it. Don't second guess it. Life can change in the blink of an eye. All the best to you. Story 4. The day we met, it was like I had met the female version of myself. It was hard to believe we had so much in common. I had never met someone with whom I got along so well, male or female. Even with my friends, I never quite clicked properly with them. It was effortless with her, and we grew up in the same small town but met in another city. Story 5. Have always had nerdy hobbies. Relationships never lasted more than a year, until I met a girl who had her own nerdy hobbies. Now we nerd together, even got her into Dungeons and Dragons. Story 6. I am a female, so sorry for bumping in here. My boyfriend always laughs at our situation just because of this. We met roughly in 2010 to 2011 when I was still in high school and we were in the same anime rock dark vampire loving community. We lost contact for years. I left the group. He was always just tagging along because the leader was his girlfriend at one time. I was honest with him when he got in contact again last year. I told him back in those days I could drown him in a glass of water because he was annoying. Now we say to each other, "Where the heck have you been all this time?" Story 7. 2 weeks into my relationship with my now boyfriend of 18 months, he kissed me, looked at me and said, "Where did you come from?" It was a moment I will never forget. Story 8. I still have this every day whenever I speak with my girlfriend of 4 years. It's like the spark never left. I met her when we were in college, and I was heartbroken at the time because I had a childhood friend I was in love with who had to fly to a different country. Since it was my first year in college, I started making new friends just to cope with what I was feeling. That is when I met her. I only had casual conversations with her at that time. I added her on Facebook, and then the fun started. We began talking to each other every day, flirting with each other as a joke. Then I was in denial about the feelings I started developing for her. So what I did was avoid her for a week until I couldn't resist trying to find her at the school library. I would always look for her, asking the librarian where she was or if she had been at the library. To sum it all up, we confessed to each other in that same year. We have been together for 4 years and have been planning to build a future for us. Story 9. I am glad I did not meet my fiancée before I did. I do not think we would have worked out honestly. I was not ready for her or our relationship. It is crazy to think how even the last girlfriend or two changed me so significantly that I am glad I met her when I did. Story 10. Yeah. She was in the depths of hell waiting to make my life miserable. Jokes aside, yeah, I have. It's a pretty good feeling, just don't let it consume you. She's not perfect, no one is. Story 11. That is how I feel with my girlfriend. We went to the same high school, knew each other's names, but not much else. My roommate at university studied abroad with her over the summer. and my roommate forced me to attend her 21st birthday party when they got back home. So I did, and the rest is history. Story 12. That's awesome. Good for you. Totally, sometimes with women and sometimes with people you just become friends with. It's amazing to find someone you really click with on so many levels. Good luck. Seriously, that's awesome. Story 13. I have been married for more than a decade, and sometimes I think, it's weird that I just sleep next to you and assume you won't murder me. So, kind of the same thing. Story 14. That's how I felt when I met my now wife. Everything just seemed to click into place and feel right. Nothing was a challenge. Nothing was awkward. It was just as natural as you can get. We were engaged after 4 months and living together after 5. And I can honestly say I don't regret a single thing 13 years later. Story 15. I was dating a couple of girls when I met my girlfriend. After constantly sticking with one girl until it imploded, I decided to see as many girls as I could find on Tinder. The answer, shockingly, was 3. I had just been on my second date with my girlfriend, right before the pandemic, and we had our first kiss. That was when I knew she was the one. I was honest with the other women and just focused on my girlfriend. 1 year of dating later, and I'm more in love than ever. Story 16. Yes, same here, original poster. I knew my girlfriend for 2 years before we actually started dating. She and I played in the same co-ed flag football league. The first year we barely talked, but we had a lot of mutual friends, and she was extremely shy, almost like a mute. The second year I broke up with another girl in the league, so I was going to pursue her, but I backed off because I didn't want to be known as the guy who tried dating every girl in the league. Plus, when we did talk and I flirted, it went nowhere. The third year I just said, screw it, and went for it, and we've been together for the past 2 years. I kind of wish I had asked her earlier, but at the same time, I wasn't in the best place at the time to start dating anyone seriously. Story 17. That's exactly how I felt when I met my wife. We have been together for 3.5 years and married for 1.5 years. On a regular basis, we both continue to marvel at how lucky we were to finally meet. We often make a joke, and the other will say, I was just thinking that. We both love to cook. And you know the saying, too many cooks in the kitchen? Well, we love being around each other and love cooking together. So that saying never applies to us. Story 18. My wife and I worked for the same corporation and business unit for about 10 years before we met. We saw each other in passing in the hallways but never talked. One day, I got an email notification from her indicating that there was a bug in a code module that I developed. I typically email back in response, but something told me to go over to her desk to discuss it. I went over to her cubicle, and she had her back turned because she was working. I knocked on the wall and she turned around. I still remember her amazing smile. To this day, I tell her that I was instantly smitten. We ended up talking for a bit. Soon after, we would stop by each other's desk to say hi or chat, and the rest is history. We celebrated our 11th wedding anniversary last week. Story 19. So I just want to say, good for you. There are 7 billion people on this planet, and there are numerous people with numerous interests that would align with yours. If you're on a date and things don't click, there's likely someone else out there that would click easier. Story 20. Same here. She was homeschooled, and so was I. I started dating her and then realized her family's page was literally the next page over from mine in the Homeschool Association's yearbook for my town. I went through her pictures with her once and discovered a picture of her dad giving me an award at some church ceremony when I was 9 years old. She had the same first 2 names as my sister, last name was different, of course, and was interested in all the same things that I was into, all the same hobbies, TV shows, and movies. She was raised the same way I was, with the same values and principles. It was all just so uncanny. Then, 6 years later, I proposed. And she said no and told me she had been seeing her coworker for the last few months, and that he made her happy and I just didn't anymore. She didn't know how to tell me but figured she'd better do it now since I just proposed. I've been single ever since. That was about 6 or 7 years ago. Story 21. I had the same thing with my girlfriend, but she is Australian and I am Norwegian, so that pretty much answered my question about where she has been all my life. Story 22. I met my significant other a few years ago. I had just gotten a job at the same coffee shop as him. I was planning on saving to leave my current husband because he was an alcoholic and abusive, but that's another story. At work, I slipped and stumbled across the newly mopped kitchen and dish area. Just as I was sliding into the sink in him, he turned, grabbed me, and saved me like we were in some depressing off-brand Disney movie. In 2 years, he helped me to realize I was suffering from complex post-traumatic stress disorder and helped me to remember a lot of my repressed memories of my childhood. He helped me to realize my mother was a narcissistic psychopath who had personally tortured me, my identical twin sister, and my little sister. He helped me to overcome a serious case of basically Stockholm Syndrome and to go no contact with my abusive mother. We had a baby together. But before all of this, I ran into the back of the store sobbing because another employee had touched me inappropriately. I ran to find him because he was safe. Someone you feel safe with. Story 23. I met my dream girl and we hit it off great. We lived in different cities, so we didn't have a relationship, but we met whenever we could and spent time together. I wished she would move to my city one day. She moved to Canada. I live in Turkey. Story 24. Whatever you do, do not search for the hormonal secretions related to falling in love. The good news is they last for about 3 years. The bad news is they last for about 3 years. Then it becomes work. It's not horrible work, but it's work. It's the best high you can get. Enjoy it. Story 25. 25 years ago today, I met the one, and I knew that night. We've been together ever since. Now married for 21 years, with a 15 and 12-year-old son and daughter. Good luck. Story 26. Not quite that line, but so many times I thought, how lucky am I that a person with such compatibility with me exists, and that they exist in the same time as me, in the same place as me, and that we both swiped right. Story 27. Yes, that was my experience meeting my now wife in college. We started talking and it was just clicking in so many ways. The thing that made me think, I must date this girl, was a question I asked her. I asked her which book, movie, or TV show world she would want to live in. We had the same answer, the Aragon universe, and it was the final nail in the coffin. Story 28. Me and my girlfriend have the exact same sense of humor. I have never, ever met someone else with my sense of humor before, like to a T. We have so much in common, and she's my dream girl in so many ways. Like Kid Me would have said, it was unbelievable. We literally have the same birthday. The first months of dating, we kept being like, how have we only now met each other? The girl is perfect for me. Story 29. Careful, those first fleeting giddy highs of new relationship energy have been researched. They mimic the brain waves that are consistent with schizophrenic brain MRI. So, not saying your situation is that way, just trust but verify your feelings and general interaction/problem solving as partners. Story 30. Yes, I had this once. It was so easy and fun. I felt like I had suddenly met my soulmate. Being with him intensified everything in a good way. It seemed like we fit together like Lego bricks. We ended up breaking up due to his alcoholism. It was terrible. I still miss him to this day. If we talk on the phone, the same feelings come out. The perfect way we just know each other and how well we click. So be careful. Don't ruin it with alcohol or drugs. The funny thing is, neither he nor I could have predicted what happened. He drank, but it didn't seem like a big deal, as we were young and everything was still so exciting. I wish someone had warned us. Story 31. I did have one similar story, unfortunately. We were teens and worlds apart, with no means to see each other after being exchange students. I have been wanting a girlfriend for a while. Not that I am unhappy, but I just feel that need to have someone to love. I just asked a girl out, though, and for the third time in a row, she has a boyfriend. I really know how to pick them. Story 32. Yes, I joked around with my now boyfriend, asking him where he was all this time when I was out here getting my heart broken, and he went through similar situations this year. He lives literally 5 minutes away from me, and to think my dream man has always been that close amazes me. He is just so different from any guy I have dated. He is super handsome, kind, caring, hardworking, and makes time for me. I guess this year has not been too bad. Story 33, totally feel this. I was pretty much established single. Occasional dating, but nothing long-term. Then in the space of less than 3 years, in my 40s, I meet someone, she moves in, we are married and have a son. We fit so well it is downright creepy. Even now we come across things that are a little odd that we both do, like shaking a cold bottle of Coke so we can carefully let out the gas as it is too fizzy. Perfect damn match. Enjoy yourselves, and I hope it lasts. Story 34. Had a similar experience with my girlfriend. We hit it off straight away and have very similar interests and outlook on life. She's everything to me, and we have been inseparable ever since. She happened to live only 10 minutes away from me, and I never knew. Crazy to think our decisions before meeting led us to a certain point in time where we have finally crossed paths. Story 35. My girlfriend was actually my neighbor during my middle and high school years. We rarely talked. We finally started talking at the end of senior year of high school and have been together ever since. More than 3 years. I couldn't be happier. So, to answer the question right down the street. Story 36. Timing is a huge blessing. You were meant to mature and learn certain things before meeting her. If you met earlier, it may not have worked out. One of you may have been too immature for the other. My boyfriend lives across the street, but if it wasn't for Bumble, the dating app, I'm not sure we would have ever crossed paths. Years before meeting, we happened to have been in rehab at the same exact time for the same drug, Xanax, and we always talk about how severely lonely we were during that time in life and how badly we needed each other but didn't even know each other. It's crazy to think we were both existing, going through the same experiences at the same time, and didn't even know of each other's existence. Now we are each other's rocks. Better late than never.